I'm tired and I worked all day, but we have to do what we have to do. It's almost midnight and I finally made it to the hotel. Wow, it is beautiful back here. What's growing on, gardeners? And for the first time in a long time, I am not coming from you from the southeastern coast of North Carolina. I am in north central Florida right now. And what am I doing all the way down here? Well, if you've been following my channel for a long time, you have known that it has always been my dream and my desire to one day own a real piece of land and start a homestead. And I'm super excited to announce that the piece of land I'm standing on right now is one I'm seriously considering buying. And I flew all the way down here just to give it a site survey and a walkthrough. I've never laid eyes on this piece of land before, and I want to take you all along for the ride. So a little bit of a backstory. It has always been my dream and my desire to own a real piece of land that I could turn into a future homestead and a food forest and something that would keep me occupied for decades to come. The house that I live in right now in North Carolina has always been a bit of a 10-year plan for me, where I was going to basically learn how to do these things and live in a residential neighborhood, but I've always wanted to be out in a more rural area because that's where I was born and it just kind of suits my personality. But that being said, this piece of land right now, if I decide to continue with the transaction, it's not something that I'm going to be working on for a very long time. This is a 5 to 10 year plan for me. So I'm going to be in North Carolina for the foreseeable future. This is somewhere where I want to end up, more likely in my later years. Now, a little bit of information on this piece of land. This is a little less than 4 acres of land. I really wanted to wind up with something like 5 to 10 acres of land, but the real estate market has just been absolutely crazy, and I'm kind of in love with the location that this land is in, so I'm really happy with it, and I think overall it would be a pretty good fit for me. Of that, a little bit less than 4 acres, the back acre to an acre and a quarter has a creek that runs through it. So about 2 1/4 to 2 1/2 acres of the land is cleared and buildable and not in a flood zone. The back buffer would basically be a floodplain that you couldn't build in, but you may be able to still turn into some type of understory food forest. So I want to make sure I take a look through there and see exactly what I could do if I decide to go on with this purchase. I've been looking for a piece of land for over 1.5 years now, every single day, and I think that this is the best fit for me that's come on the market recently. So it's important to note that I have never stepped foot on this property before. This is the first time I'm laying eyes on anything here. I've seen lots of pictures, I've had a realtor go out and take some photos for me and walk the site, but I've never actually seen it myself. So now I'm going to start the tour of what I hope to be my future homestead. Today is August 18th and we're in the peak of the rainy season, so Florida has been getting a lot of rain over the past few months. So it's good to see that there isn't any significant ponding or flooding that is in the field right now. I'm standing in the front corner property line, so everything that you see right here in this panning, sweeping shot would basically be part of the property. And as you can see, this is all cleared. This is about 2 1/2 acres cleared. So I'm pretty happy with the flatness. It would probably take minimal grading and fill in order to build on. This would be the neighbor's house right here. And I can kind of notice right here that the ground slopes down. So some kind of swale would have to probably be put in to prevent all the water from rushing into the back corner. So that's probably a minimal amount of work compared to any type of clearing and grading. So I think it looks really nice. Now I'm going to walk the perimeter. So this right here is where the neighbor's driveway begins, and this is basically a vegetative buffer between the street and this property. So there's a lot of privacy walking through right here. And obviously we're in a big recreation area because every puddle jumper in the world is flying over my head right now. So excuse the noise and also excuse the shaky cam, but it's about 95 degrees right now and not a cloud in the sky. Of course, I picked the clearest day in Florida summer to do this, but hey, good weather is better than bad weather. At least it ain't raining. So you can kind of see what the native topography looks here. It's typical Florida flat. There is all types of scrub palmetto. This is all saw palmetto that is a buffer for the road. Lots of native southern yellow pine. Looks like we have some kind of wild grapevine, maybe like a muscadine or something. I don't know the vegetation down here all that well. The soil itself appears to be typical Florida pine sand soil, probably low in nutrients. It's what I'm gardening on right now, so I'm pretty familiar with this soil, not too different. And then this right here is the other front corner of the yard. This would be where the next neighbor's property is. It would be the buffer between this property and the neighbor. So good amount of privacy, lots of, looks like there's a cabbage palm growing back there, looks really pretty, lots of mature saw palmetto growing over here. Not really of any edible value, but it makes a very nice looking buffer. Looks like the next door neighbors have dogs, which is a good thing. Then over here we have a large established live oak with a big cabbage palm growing under it, covered in Spanish moss. Very beautiful. So now, right now, we are heading towards where the floodplain would be. Beyond those trees, there's supposedly a creek back there, which I will attempt to walk into. Looks like we have more live oak with some beautiful Spanish moss that would make a good understory. So now we're in the far corner of the yard behind this live oak. And if I move the camera, you can see what the depth of the property looks like from back here. So not incredibly large, surprisingly, but keep in mind, this is the cleared portion of the property right here. It continues to go back another acre where it is less cleared, at least so I'm told. So now I'm going to try and take a look at that area. This would be predominantly the area that I would do some kind of orchard or food forest or gardening in. And this understory that I'm in right now, I can tell you right now, is an absolute lifesaver. It is so brutally hot out in that summer Florida sun that it would scorch a lot of plants. But here in this native understory, it is quite nice. So a little fun fact about this property, this is actually the side lot of the neighbors. They actually have a 9 or 10 acre parcel and they subdivided it and they're selling off this side lot because I guess it's more than they just know what to do with. So it looks like right here, there's actually a big pile of probably fill dirt when they had their house built and the yard graded and leveled. So there's a nice little pile of fill dirt right here. And then you can see on the back property kind of what this native understory looks like. It's pretty small, but if you brush hogged in here and you got rid of a lot of that, you probably would be able to grow quite a few things underneath these I think they're red bay trees. Really beautiful. So now we're going to go behind this live oak, which is the edge of the cleared section, and this would all still be part of the property back here. The clearing goes back into this rear corner, and beyond this rear corner is apparently where the creek is. And that looks so overgrown, I don't even know if I will be able to get back there, unfortunately. But there's this nice protected area in here. This might be a really good place to have a greenhouse because it would be very difficult for wind to penetrate. You would basically have to only have wind coming from this direction right here in order to actually damage a structure in here. So really nice cleared area right here. Now I want to see if there's a way into this rear property and I can get to that creek. Now I would say, unfortunately, there's probably no good way back there. That would probably have to all be brush hogged, probably by a professional company. It may be possible, it may be reasonable to do something here just by removing the brush, but that may be a conversation for a later date. For the time being, this is looking back to the road. So the road is all the way out there. We're basically about 3 acres deep right now. That's as far as I can zoom in on this new camera. The more I look, the more I continue to find. Turns out the property goes even deeper in the rear here. And if I go down here, it looks like I can actually find the slope where the creek would be. And it's pretty dark back here. That is the creek right back there. So that's what I'm talking about. Looks like this is the edge of the property line right here. So that is the wetland buffer. It would probably be difficult to do much with the land back here because of the creek that is flowing through. So there would probably be minimal amount of work I can do in the understory, unfortunately. But if I stand back here at the very edge of the property and look back, this is the true depth of the entire property. And of course, me being me, I couldn't make this trip empty-handed. I had to bring a little tree along the way as a christening of the property of sorts. So this right here is actually a exact copy of the Giambo persimmon tree that I have growing in my yard. I bought a cheap little American persimmon, I cut it back and I grafted on a piece of the scion from my Giambo persimmon to make my own Giambo persimmon tree. So I carried this down and I planted it in ground on the outskirts of the property in this native sugar sand, which was the only thing I could dig by hand. I have no idea if this will actually take, but the funny thing about planting in Florida is the best time to plant is actually during the rainy season, because it can get so dry in the fall, winter, and spring that if you plant during that time period, you have to be around to constantly water them in because of how dry it could get and how rough the conditions could be. So my best chance may be actually to plant this during the rainy season when they're still getting daily rains, because I will not be here to maintain it. Like I said, I made the tree myself, so it was basically free. If it takes, it takes, and that would be wonderful, because if I do eventually move here one day, it would be nice to have a few things fruiting on the property so I don't have to start completely from scratch, and this felt just very fitting. And that right there is the first walkthrough and tour of what may very well be my future property and homestead that I may move to in 5-10 years or so. Maybe shorter, maybe longer. We'll see where life takes me. I'm not really sure, but I do know that overall I like the property. It's certainly a lot more land that I'm used to dealing with. I wish there was more. I wish it was easier to access the native understory. It may still be able to be cleared so I could grow things underneath the understory. I don't know. I'm getting way too far ahead of myself, but I just thought this would be a really fun trip to take you along the ride on, because I've been incredibly excited to lay eyes on this property. So everybody, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and please ring that notification bell so you're notified when we release more videos like these. If I'm actually posting this video on YouTube, it's probably because the sale actually went through. I wouldn't post a video on a property that I didn't buy. So if you see this video, that probably means great things. So if you have any questions and want to discuss what my future plans are, please drop some comments down in the video description below and I'll do my best to answer them. But really, things are up in the air. I'm being pretty fluid and I'm just rolling with the punches, and I'll see where life takes me. But whatever it is, I'm really excited, and I really think that investments like this are very important for many people to have. Always have a 5-year and a 10-year plan so you can set your sights on some kind of goal, because it's always nice to have something positive to look forward to no matter what's going on in your life right now. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to catch you all on the next one.
Dale, are you enjoying your car ride? Tonight we're taking Dale to the Brunswick Beer and Cider Brewery, and Dale is going to have a fabulous time.
Dale's going to have a Dale's Pale Ale.
And he's wearing his Tricks for Treats bandana, and I know the ladies are going to go nuts.